I beamed in thinking it was Hayes, buddy, thinking it was this meeting, and then I realized it was in a wrong sign.
No,
Good to
it's this meeting for Fred,
yeah.
and I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but Fred already signed the NDA. He's ready to talk about the goodies that he's planning to do, or
Okay.
something along that line. And
Okay.
he's talked to Kim before. Nobody here has heard what he has to say exactly. So let me just leave it to you and Kim to start it off, because I don't know what exactly is happening.
Okay. So.
So I'll say this: Fred sees the big picture. We'll just move going.
Okay. Okay.
So Fred, the floor is yours.
How are you, Fred?
I am doing fantastic, and coming off of that adrenaline rush of the show.
Yeah.
Love what we do. Financial literacy is really, really, really important to me. And Kimberly and I had a really, I think I can speak for you, Kim. We had a really good conversation the other day, did we not?
Oh yeah, it was very enlightening on where you vision. Your vision is very similar to, I think, an idea of where we want to go. So I just want you to share your vision with them, because that's what's more important, is for the team to understand it.
Yeah. So there's a big gaping black hole, and financial literacy is it's right there at the event horizon, because you can't look into the hole, because a lot of people it's just too dark. They don't want to discuss it. They don't want to get into the on it, because they feel very insecure and uncertain, especially right now. I think that I would love for us to develop listening to what Kim was telling me last weekend, a financial literacy money talks kind of conversation that I can kind of go deeper dive into those topics, and build presentations that will allow for people to digest it better in smaller bites. How do you eat a turkey, right? In small bites. And I think there's a way to do that, because I already do that right now with Circle of Wealth. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Circle of Wealth, with Cal College. Are you familiar with that? Any of you guys have seen Cal College or anything like that?
No.
Well, I'm one of the master mentors, one of the coaches that work in that environment. And that's kind of what you see when you see me flipping through those screens and the animation. And what I do on that side is I build out proprietary presentations that allow for people to find finance fun, and simple as 1, 2, 3. I think there's a lot of people out here that carry the title of financial advisor, but I think they talk way over people's heads, and people do not understand what they're saying, so they just agree. They just okay, you sound smart, but what if we could help them play on the same playing field, understand what they're saying without needing $50 words, and they understand financial concepts better, so they can make better choices for their families and their future, and stop robbing from their future, more importantly, because that's what everyone keeps doing. Even if they are saving the money, they're emptying that after-tax dollar as soon as an emergency hits. And their only vehicle of saving is really a pre-tax plan that they don't know what the taxes are going to be in the future when they withdraw it. So if we could help them save more tax advantaged, it would reposition their lives so that they won't run out of money in the future. They don't have to work longer necessarily, and don't have to give up their lifestyle because they're no longer working in that capacity in case they become disabled or long-term care or bad things happen to good people, whatever. We can help them see themselves in the future and how they can compound and use their monies more efficiently, which is what I kind of talked about today. I think there's something to say about that. So I would like to develop a separate show where I can go deeper in the weeds on that and still continue with the Financial Fridays as that exchange, because I think there's something of value when you have two talk show hosts going back and forth. But here's the problem with that: we agree. We agree on everything.
Right.
Yeah, we're wearing the same glasses, the same lenses. I think what I would like to do is to go into more, not necessarily complex subjects, but in more one-on-one subjects that don't require me to trade that discussion for philosophy's sake. Does that make sense? Yeah. I want to kind of flow through that discussion and spend a little bit more time, put a little bit more skin in the game, and try to use that hour more efficiently than that trade. Does that make sense? That Larry King kind of back and forth. And I think I would love to have that additional 15 to 20 minutes to go into those discussions. I have some ideas around it. I shot an email to Wayne and Kimberly, how I see the show, what it could look like. And I'd love to kind of hear your thoughts on it. I called it Money Talks with Frederick Hicks, and I can just I can give you some examples if you like, but I think you get the gist based on what you just saw me do on the last show. Okay.
Fred, are you looking at a half hour or an hour show?
An hour pre-recorded show.
Are you going to go solo or are you going to invite in guests?
I'm going to invite in guests to come in to validate my point.
Okay.
But less opinions.
Right. Okay. I mean, so that would be good, because the real problem of doing an hour show, which you guys do, an hour is a long time to talk solo. I mean, if you're talking solo for an hour, that's a long time. When you bring a guest in, or you bring several guests in, that's not a real problem at all. And I don't know what the rest of the board thinks. I'm very favored with financial shows, because we really started off 4 or 5 years ago with financial literacy shows. That's what we wanted to adopt and frankly bring it to PBS, but PBS is going like to financial shows. And same with a lot of media. It's almost like, well, we're not interested in anything financial.
It's boring to them, even though we were funny and we're more about inspiring that financial.
Yeah, you have to inspire these people.
Inspire them first, but what you're talking about is the actual course. So let's talk about a little bit about the course material. This is your field of expertise. But what demographics is your material aimed at? Is it a certain age group, a certain, like, you're finished high school, you finished school, so those kind of things? Where are you starting at the educational level? Because we talked about this the other day, but I want them to know. Yeah,
well, I think we can, if we stay in the range of 35 and up, okay, that's a nice spot, because other than that, it is touch and go. There's no issues with having a discussion with millennials, but some millennials arrive at a savings mindset at different stages. Does that make sense? So typically what I found is 35 and up is the audience that we tend to attract and gain traction with. Okay. Other than that, below 35, it's depends on how their family dynamics have kind of educated them about money and what their sense of urgency of saving comes down to. Because you can't really get into a lot of saving strategy with people who are kind of in the party mindset. Let's face it. Okay.
I'm finished college. I got money. My house is bought. I got married. I'm ready to have a good life and fun. And I get it. But there was another word you used the other day, and I'm trying to grasp at it. But it's the people who didn't get the message, and they're kind of running, I need to get something done. They kind of got forgotten in the loop of how to plan. What are the intelligent decisions to make moving forward, like you said, to make my money work for me? So there was a word we used the other day. I didn't have my notepad, but it hit the nail on the head. We did.
We talked for a while when I was in that mindset. I mean, I was.
It was
you-
flowing.
Yeah, I would say that when you're talking about getting financially fit, which is what the series would be about, is most people would agree that they exercise their bodies, but they don't exercise their finance very well. They kind of avoid it, and 80% of it is what you do in the accumulation years versus failure to plan is a plan to fail. So we want to talk about things like income protection and issues with retirement income planning and tax efficiency, being that is really the erosion of the dollars, and many people just don't understand how taxes work. They don't have an accountant, and they pretty much go to the Liberty Tax or H&R Block, and if there's a refund, that's really all they care about. They don't understand how to be more tax efficient, and they don't understand.
They don't know how to take advantage. They don't know how to take advantage.
Well, they don't know how to keep an eye on their partner.
Right.
Not even
they don't take advantage of the tax deductions either. That, in other words, they're not. But that changes every year, Fred. So how do we evolve? So first off, awareness, right? Be aware. Wake up. Be aware, right?
Keep an eye on your partner. Keep an eye on your partner, and they don't keep an eye on it. They just accept it. I have to pay taxes. A lot of my mature audience don't even realize that Social Security has to be taxed.
Right. How stupid is that? A taxed byproduct has to be taxed.
But they don't see it that way.
Mhm.
This is what I tell people in the 5 elements that I like to teach. You got to manage your money, know how to spend it and save it, right? There's savings, then there's investing, making your money work for you. There's a difference. Then there's paying taxes. I always tell people there's going to be, I don't give a dang what you're doing, just like Social Security. You're going to freaking pay taxes. You better plan on it and then pay it forward. So you're right. Taxes is a big element, but that's not going to be the only game plan in financial fitness here, right? You've got all kinds of.
It is. So what we need to talk about is a big topic, I think, that is becoming more relevant, and many of the financial institutions have exited the market on it or diversified, and that is issues with aging parents. Okay?
So,
Issues with aging parents, and that's a vast ocean of topics, not just long-term care, but we're talking custodial care. What does Medicare actually cover? Does it fit into your big picture? And how to avoid some of the pitfalls. And if your parent is in a situation where they failed to plan, is there something we can get that might soften the blow? It's better to have something than nothing. And there's a way to subsidize it. And it may not be a silver bullet, but it's at least a Band-Aid to stop the hemorrhaging, so to speak. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just going to add that happens all the time. Like, and even for people who plan well, I've seen people lose everything they had, get sick, and no matter what amount of insurance you put in place and what amount of planning. So there is always good to understand what are the Band-Aids that exist out there to help stop the definite bleeding, because a lot of people worked hard their whole lives. They've paid taxes their whole lives, probably more than they should have. And then at the end of life, when it should be quality of life, they get punished because of a mistake, or, the corporation decided, oh, we're not going to give you pensions because we went bankrupt, or, something stupid like that. So I get it. But these are things that we need to learn how to do.
Funny that you say that, because the debt conversation, the bankruptcy, you said that, what you just mentioned, we could spend quite a bit of time helping people understand that there's a more efficient way to get out of debt. And it's a way whereas they could still be saving at the same time while getting out of debt. And there are concepts and strategies that when I'm teaching it in workshops or on stage, people are like, well, why don't they teach this in school?
Because they don't want you to know about it.
Well, they don't want you to know, but it's such a basic concept that people can wrap their arms around, that they will rather go this way than let's focus on the snowball effect kind of conversations. I don't know if you guys know the snowball effect that Dave Ramsey always talks about.
No, tell me. I know. Go ahead.
Dave Ramsey can get you out of debt, but he can't put you in a position that you won't return back to debt.
Yeah, that's got to be
Buy my next book. Buy my next book, and I'll tell you how to do that one. So I walk in people's houses, and they have a library of Dave Ramsey books. But when I ask them, what do you really understand how money works? And their answer is always what? No. I think we need to look at people getting more financially fit and understanding how money works versus focused on always rate of return and getting out of debt only to have an emergency happen and get right back in debt because they haven't really determined their wants and needs versus their lifestyle choices.
Mhm.
Well, that's always been the problem. You got the grasshopper and the ant story always, right? I mean, I love the childhood stories, right? They really taught us all of these things, the difference between the grasshopper and the ant. I do want to bring up something before I forget about it that I want you to add to all of this is that Medicare and Medicaid has, while we've all been distracted with all of this political baloney and everything else, they've gone in and changed all the laws, and 47 states have adopted it. So we are not going to have our Medicare and Medicaid as we know it come 2021. It was supposed to have been taken over in 2020, but I guess they decided there were some other things that they could screw us on. So they went in and, made the changes while we weren't looking. Okay, so we couldn't protest it, stop it, or whatever. And you can tell how much I trust our government. But what I'd like to see, if you could incorporate it in there, is a class on people. This is what Medicare and Medicaid is now going to be. And it needs to be taught before January because I think it's going to hit in January. Now, what it's going to do is it's not really going to exist anymore. You have to buy an insurance plan. Yeah. Medicare and Medicaid is going to be the top 3 to 5 insurance companies, and you will have to buy an insurance plan. And the reason why North Carolina voted for this, your health service department and leaders and governor pushed for this, is because they said it was going bankrupt the way it was being operated. Now, my doctors tell me Medicare and Medicaid are the only insurance companies that pay. Mm-hmm. So to me, it would have depended on what policies we were using to keep these things funded, right? And, what kind of healthcare systems we had. But my doctors told me that that's the only insurance organization, basically insurance, as you call it, that paid for everyone's medical care. They didn't have to go and knock down the doors and reapply and reissue. So I'm feeling really sad here that this is happening. I never qualified for it, but I know a lot of people who that's their life. If they didn't have that, they wouldn't be alive. But come January, because a lot of these people have not received a notice, you're going to have to pay for that stuff now.
Yeah.
And these people don't have a budget for this. And I don't know how far this law is really going. I just had somebody sit down at my table who was part of the committee voting on this, tell me about this. And I thought I was going to kill him. So, because I'm like, well, I don't hear about it in the news. Oh yeah, we were getting all this done while everybody was.
Well, you're not going to hear it in the news because it's not part of that mainstream conversations that draw people in.
Well, they don't want you to know about it until it's officially done and it's too late to do anything about it.
Well, yeah.
So what we need to do is find out. I don't know everything about what the laws are. They kind of clammed up when I started getting pissed. What I should have done was put the Kim Cool hat on. I go, oh, really? This sounds cool. Tell me more. I didn't do that. Kim blew up. So
As you know, I'm a NSSA, which is a National Social Security Advisor. So I'm very familiar with what you're saying there. And
so you're aware that 47 states just adopted the new law.
yeah, so it's been something that's been in the works for quite some time. It just didn't come about here in the last 6 months. It's been talking points that, you know, nothing was solidified, but there are going to be substantial changes that will be made, but it will still resemble the same structure, format, characteristics of our system. It's just those tweaks. People are not prepared for those tweaks because their budget is already too lean as it is.
That's what I'm saying. Why are they waiting to prepare people? I don't see any notices going out. I don't see anyone being notified, hey, next year you might need an extra $50 to $200 in your pocket. I don't see any of that.
It's similar to what you're hearing already, that, you know, why tell people about COVID? You don't want to panic the world. Let's just wait till 200,000 plus pass away, and then we'll talk about it. Okay.
Yeah. And then
So-
and they might not need Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid. So there you go.
And then here's the point. A lot of people will just accept it as this is life. Life happens. You know, lifehappens.com is one of the best sites to go to. And that's another talking point, because I am having a lot of families having to deal with the death of the primary wage earner right now. And I think there's talking points to be had about death and divorce
Well,
in a financial literacy discussion.
that should be a primary financial plan, right? Death should definitely be a primary financial
But people
plan.
don't think about it in that manner,
Oh,
Kimberly.
I'm going to tell you what, I've got extremely educated family members. I'm talking about got sent to the best schools in the world, and they're my family. And this is the attitude. I'm not buying life insurance for my family. When I'm dead, I don't care.
That's right.
Oh my God.
Well, you know,
And
you
I'm
know-
looking at the person they married and I go, would you please divorce him?
you know how you get away from that discussion?
Yeah.
Life insurance, because people don't realize life insurance is an asset class. You know, just think about it the way I explain it when I'm talking to people.
Crazy.
You know, imagine when you had all these guys sitting in a room with long cigars saying, you know what, we can't call it this, we can't call it that. Why don't we just call it life insurance? And then we hear that life insurance is for something bad, someone dying. Well, I'm not dying today. And I'm not buying that piece of wood. I'd rather buy the other piece of wood called a house, but not the other piece of wood called a coffin that I would lose the house and the person that's creating the revenue that's paying for the house.
That's right.
So then you're dealing with divorce, which is still what? High. It's going to be higher after this pandemic because people realize that I don't recognize you anymore. Okay, so I'm out. And what does it look like in the form of financial literacy when you didn't understand what you got into then? So you surely don't know what your finances are going to look outside of this person's income being gone. So there's another whole talking point. But with everything I'm laying out here, the big picture is this: sponsors. Now I'm involved with all these different corporate structures, B2B. And some of the accounts that I work with is like the Centers of Pursuit, Paychecks, various different doctors' offices. One that I'm working on right now, and I'm pitching the IBM TV concept that I'm already in the company because my fiance is actually one of the HR influencers, talent acquisition people, and I met a lot of the people that's in there, and I had this conversation with you, Kimberly, the other day at Cisco, that they want to have this kind of forum and talk show, and the idea of broadcasting it out as a recruiting tool, demonstrating the culture that people can expect having worked or working within Cisco. They need financial literacy conversations. The topics that I'm talking about here are topics of interest to them. They want to talk about these things. but they want to look at it as something that can be broadcasted out. And I didn't know Kimberly had so much influence or background with Cisco and Lenovo. I did hear that, which is across the street from Cisco.
Yeah.
This is a great opportunity to get sponsors to come in and back the show. And if we stay to that B2B with a financial literacy discussion, and we not just target the B2C, which is people in other countries watching the show, but we also target B2B here in the United States, whereas there is an abundance of people that need it, densely populated in a company. I think these topics would just flourish, and could also be a platform that we could take from company to company and increase the sponsorship that would help us all. I mean, I don't know. What do you think about that, Bill? You're quiet. I want to hear what Bill has to say.
Oh, no. First of all, I'm quiet because my mother always said there's a reason why God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that you would listen twice as much as you talk. 1, 2. I think I like everything that you're talking about. I guess the only thing so far is that it seems to me that with regard to some of these sponsors, because this might be a different avenue, that some of these institutions also have a commitment to financial literacy targeted to a minority demographic, and so I was waiting to see, because that's one thing. Because on the one hand, and I don't know how you're thinking about directing your show to that segment, or what we could do with IBM to get there. But it would seem to do 2 things. On the one hand, the sponsorship that you're talking about, that's just a general across the board, right? But if we also are able to target your show or have attributes of it that gets to the underserved, which is part of IBM's mission, we would then be opening up a door to a whole new different set of sponsorships, because they have a whole bunch of this money that's sitting around that they've committed to, but that they don't know where to go. And I guess that's an observation I have. What do you think about that?
Well, Bill, Kimberly and I actually began our conversation based on that strategy the other day, did we not, Kim?
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about, looking at the diversity that's going on to attract different talents, the cultural balancing of those companies. There are monies, like you just said, are allocated towards that. For the brown in the companies, in other words.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I understand. Here, let me just add kind of how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at that pot of money as, just essentially free money that we can grab and do whatever. However, I think the targeting of it, and I want to take a step back. Do you go by Fred or Frederick?
Either way.
No, what
Fred is fine. We're friends.
Because I can tell you, I don't let people call me Billy, except for my oldest sister, which I just hate it. But nevertheless, that's an aside. The thing is that statistically, and in terms of demographic trends, California, the state of California is majority minority. 1, 2. You know that in 15 years, the United States is going to be majority minority. Right. And when you start looking around and you see the trends, Black Lives Matter and stuff, it's not so much that it's new, it's rather that it's reached a critical mass. Yes. And there have been a number of things that have spun off from it. For example, they've spun off just from various things, the notion of supporting Black businesses. And so everybody's got, remember the Green Book that they used to have in the South? I don't know if you remember, but do you know of it?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, what they've done is they've done a similar kind of thing in various cities, saying you can go and you can get a book of Black businesses, so that if you're looking to buy something, you go to those stores. That way, you'll be supporting Black businesses. I say all of that to simply point this out: that there is going to be an explosion of targeted wealth. The wealth is already out there, but now there's a possibility that it will be focused into areas that we can hit on and be ahead of the curve by saying, just all people, but coming from Black, brown, yellow, whatever it is, or in my case, multiracial, that says, hey, listen, we're up front and we're the place to go, because it seems to me that as part of this generational transfer and this demographic change, it's one of these things. And I grew up differently, and so the only place I could turn, say, it was PBS, and then I watched a bunch of old white guys talking about money. Now, even though I was coming from the wrong side of the tracks or whatever they say and stuff like that, were the cases, that was the only place, and so it would have been easier, because you hear it all the time in the vernacular and popular culture when people of skin, some sort of skin melanin of any sort, they say, I never thought I could be in this profession because I never saw anybody that looked like me.
Yes.
Now, try this. Try somebody that looked like them or looks like us, telling them how to save money. And we are on the cutting edge and at the top of the wave that we know is coming.
Yes.
And positioning you and your show at the forefront of that. And the way it was explained to me, and by some very good friends of mine and things that think that IBM TV, and I know you already understand this, is really the next generation PBS. And just think about the financial shows what financial shows did you watch, if you watched any on PBS growing up?
I didn't watch any PBS shows. I'll look for my Sesame Streets and those shows.
Well, I'm sure you watch financial shows now. Which ones do you watch?
I watch primarily what I see on CNBC Business. I watch other side interest shows like CBS Sunday Morning News. I feel like that they have stories that are not dealing with the everyday items they're talking about. Okay, go ahead.
So here, but let me try this. What if the vision for your show, because the funding you get from the sponsorships you're talking about, you grab the free money to support underserved communities as sponsorships to start you up, but then put you in a position where you are the go-to person. Because think of it this way: most of the networks and the shows here are handicapped by their whiteness. They're handicapped also because they're American-centric. Okay? Now, hang on. Now, just think about it. You have a show that's coming out of the world's largest economy that's going to the rest of the world, and you look like them. Imagine the audience you would have.
Well, there's that, and giving that comfort zone as well as that what I call the idol, somebody to associate with and look up to. But let's talk about some of the basic elements too. The basic elements to becoming financial sustainable, just the basics that we want to get that point across. We need to get that down to a spin-off speech so people will tagline you with it. And when you think about that, so that everybody becomes sustainable, not just this person or that person, but everybody wants to watch it. Everybody can relate to it. So simple. It's like ABC. It's just like when I teach hacking, anti-hacking, right? How do you protect yourself in cybersecurity? There are such simple, basic elements. I teach it as elementary. I do. I teach it in a fairy tale story, and everybody laughs at me. But then I have like a general coming up to me and saying, "Can I take your pitch deck?" So we want to make it that easy, but you got, like Bill said, we got to have that image that everybody wants to relate to, that they go, I want to be like you because I am like you. And let me share something with you that I think I understand what you're doing. You're you're suitcasing this class into the B world, right? So you're taking it in, but we're also going to be teaching it on TV. So there's two different mechanics going on here. And so what we need to do is we need to get that image branded, that it's all behind, IBM TV's behind it, but we want them behind you. So one of the things we did, like when we wanted to do chess for children, right? And we incorporated a financial literacy game with this. Like I built a financial literacy game for children. But if you look at this, we suitcased it in, right? This is the chess bag. But we suitcased it in with Chess for Life. That's the teacher, like you, right? MRB, financial. and then IBM TV is coming in, and then all of the sponsors, right? So we carry, but in every class that you're teaching, you've got a kit, right? There's books, there's workbooks, because you can't teach this without doing some workbooks. So it's kind of like you can't teach a kid how to do a check ledger unless you have the checkbook ledger there. So, you know, here, reconcile this book. What? You know, so, you got to have those elements. So suitcasing all of this together, like you're talking about, Fred mentioned in the very beginning, hey, let's go after some sponsors. That's the right idea. I love the idea of let's get that credibility built with us. We're the visionaries. Get the people who want to support it. They're visionaries, but they don't know how to build it. Fred knows how to build it. But we got to suitcase it together, put it, the image together, get our tagline together. Money Talks is a good spin. Money Talks, it does. I think.
But I'm open to ideas that you guys, that you know.
No, and I mean,
I want to carry it to that. We want to get that sponsor in, right?
Yeah.
So you talked about Lenovo. Well, I brought in, you talked about Cisco because you already have that relationship. I talked about Lenovo, but these are things we kind of need to be doing with these big dogs for all of the shows, not just one.
Can I add in one thing to add to what you're saying there and what also Bill said? I just put it in the chat box. I'm affiliated with the Cisco Connected Black Professionals.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's one of the areas. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been to their galas, but I mean, I was at their gala, well, all three of them, and participating with it. And they are extremely hungry for what? Financial literacy.
Yeah.
To prove the point, Bill, it's every company needs this.
I know, but Fred, I want you person. Like a moment ago, I asked you what shows were your go-to, and you know what I heard from you? I heard CBS Sunday Morning, and I can tell you, I've been watching CBS Sunday Morning ever since it came on, like a religion, every Sunday. Love it. But I want you to be thinking that, and Kim is right on this one. We start with the colorblind content because the content has to be quality.
Yes.
And when we suitcase it, we then just keep opening it up to all these different people, and it doesn't matter the dressing we put on.
Right.
Because I want you to be the go-to person. And just think about it. In Asia, when they think IBM TV, and then they say, where do I want to go if I want to learn about money on IBM TV? First, they're going to go to IBM TV, and then they're going to say, I've got to go see Mr. Hicks.
Okay.
So let me add a comment. So what I've heard so far is that you have a B2B concept, and then you have a minority concept that's going there. I personally see, I could be wrong here, but the conversation for both of us does not sound the same. Like the words you use for a corporate version versus which for something like a minority outreach is totally different.
Yeah, you're right.
My opinion. I could be wrong here.
No, you're right.
Right.
Go ahead. You're right.
So segregating that is the key and where that is. So by Bill pitching the fact that being a face is great, when you have the conversation, likely those are going to be two separate shows or two separate versions of the show. You initially, you're a part of Cisco Connected Black Professionals. That's falling under the DNI section for HR. And DNI section is much broader than that. It can be linked to a lot of different things, which will then be linked to all corporate areas. The DNI's approach. Along with the same line, that's then connected with any HR group that's out there. So any large professional group will always have this, and that always will be your hook to get in.
Yes.
And then having said that, leveraging that is one way or another. The other portion that you can easily leverage, if you can, is always the female leadership is always the other group that's the largest in second to most. I don't know why, but it is a fact that in any BRG system, the largest group is always a female leadership one. And so mixing all those in between, there has to be a more concrete plan to push forward leveraging at least your one connection here with the Black professionals. You got to build up.
Well, let me ask you this. I've been listening backstage. Question I have, maybe Bill, Frederick, or the panel will know. Are there any television shows on successful Black businessmen and entrepreneurs right now?
There's a Black Forum on PBS, which I've enjoyed watching a few times.
Yeah, but is it based on financial? Is what I'm saying. Do they bring in the Tyler Perrys, the Oprahs, the Evander Holyfield? What?
It's not financially driven. Okay,
that's what I thought. It's not financially driven.
It's meant to say you can change your stars too, right? The Knight's Tale. It's meant to say you can become more than what you were told.
What I'm saying is here's an opportunity for a niche. Is that if we did have The Color of Money, let's say is the name of the show or something like that.
I like that.
I know The Color of Money. We know what color that is. But anyway, the thing is, you do a show like that, The Color of Money. Frederick Hicks. Okay, here's the evil plan. Listen to the evil genius about the evil plan, Fred. Okay, now what you do is you invite on the Tyler Perrys, the Oprahs. There are other people out there that are famous millionaires and billionaires that people don't even know about out there, and you invite them on the television show. 4% of the CEO Fortune 500 are actually Black CEOs that no one ever hears about because you don't hear about CEOs anyway, but you invite them in the show and you basically have a virtual monopoly. And the reason you go after these people is people listen to the celebrities, the names. The Evander Holyfield, although he is not a good example, he's the reverse. He made $500 million. He lost it all. Okay. I mean, but again, he might come on the show because he works on a show that we know of and explain, okay, I gave it to financial advisor. The financial advisor lost it all. Here's my mistakes. Let me show you how you can not make the mistakes. He's trying to make a rebound right now, Kim. Remember, he's working with Brock Felt. But then, Kim, you remember you had the guy who was the NFL player who looks like he's doing very well financially. But what you do is you bring them on because people buy the celebrities. I'm sorry.
It's relatable.
What?
And it's relatable to
it's relatable, right? I mean, the thing is,
they're stories,
and they're stories. And if you ever get Oprah on, Fred, I have no problem going backstage and listening.
Well, don't let him touch the controls. But listen,
no touching control, no touching the control.
Bill kicked me off. But the thing is, if you did that, see, here's what happens. You can go through your Rolodex, and I know I have a Rolodex, and you look for the entrepreneurs and bring them in The Color of Money for conversations with them because it's a draw. I mean, the thing is, you get a name of an executive somewhere, and they're a draw, and they don't have any outlets. I mean, and that's one reason we started Money Masters years ago. We realized CEOs love to talk about their company, and there's no outlet to talk it. Major media shuts them off.
Nick, I just want to underscore a point that you made, which is the question you asked for both Frederick and myself, and that is it. And Kimberly, you're right. There are shows that kind of nibble around the edge and talk about finances, but there's not a show that's a go-to show that says, hey, money is our star, and if money is our star, and this is how it relates to you in the community of people that never hear about money. Now, Nick, I want to remind you of something that you had once said, and I forget which conversation and stuff of that nature. It said, when you were growing up, I mean, all you knew were other people that, so trust funds and things like that was just part of the normal kind of guys thing. We're trying to reach out to people that it's not normal, that they're not quite used to, all this other stuff. Because I, for one, didn't even know another lawyer growing up. And so for me, it was all brand new, although my friends had all this other stuff. And I think Frederick's show, once we get all the basics down, and you're right, and when you're right too, it is a separate discussion.
I think they're two separate shows.
There's three.
Or three, right. It gives Frederick a lot of work to do, which I have no problem pulling.
I have no problem work on. But
we try to work on that. This opportunity opens us up to so many doors.
I know, but I think
scalable. Scalable.
I think we make Frederick the guy of financial literacy who happens to be Black. So we can call it Color of Money. We can call it all this other stuff. But he would be the face of a legitimate, serious, hey, I'm about money.
Yeah.
And by the way, come on in and I'll teach you.
Let's see. I'm going to pull out my book from David K. Johnson, The Making of Donald Trump. We're going to change it to The Making of Frederick Hicks.
Okay.
So from my perspective, I can see three shows. The high end show, where you bring in all the top 50. Let's say to start off with the top 10 Black entrepreneurs that's
Mhm.
made it, and interview and do the thing that Nick was talking about. The second one is a corporate alone series, and the third one is a minority reach out series.
Okay. Well, okay.
Let's kind of twist this a little bit. I know minority reach out is very, very important, but I think that will happen on its own when people see Fred. And I'm going to call you Fred for a reason, and you just see it, right? So, financial research, education, development labs. That's how we're going to brand you. You are now, but Fred has now become a AI labs, okay? And we acronymed him. So, but I think that what we need to do is just embellish as much as possible on the education factor, that we're going to teach you everything you need to do sustain and profit.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right.
We're not going to lower bars.
But see, also I'm saying the role models are very important. It's important to have a Tyler Perry out there, an Oprah out there.
We got this role model.
Yeah, you want to bring the role models in. But see, also from the IBM TV standpoint, we can then solicit these role models who generally, now Oprah has her own network, so you really need to be on TV. Yeah. Same with Tyler Perry, but there's tons of other ones out there that just get no love and attention. Like I said, 4% of the Fortune 500 CEOs. But can you name even one of them? Probably not. Why? Because CEOs don't really get a lot of.
We crunched these numbers yesterday about people who are in really bad tax financial problems, and the percentage is 40. Well, it's 40 million people. I crunched this with one of the guys. I took a tax policy course the other day, and it was really, really good, by the way. I had a late afterwards conversation, and he told me, this is his expertise, this is what he does, and he told me that we would have 40 million viewers on topics like this, because there are 40 million people who are in so much tax problems and debt, and so in debt that 40 million, that's a huge number. That's a huge number demographic. So I'm thinking that because tax debt, because taxes were part of your program, but tax debt is just part of the problem. But if you become in debt in other areas, which is how, like, I have family members who got into tax debt problems. You know how they got there? They had debt problems. They couldn't even pay their own bills.
Rob from Peter to pay Paul.
So they didn't pay Uncle Sam. And Uncle Sam, 8 years later, comes and goes, "Hey, you didn't not only pay me, you didn't even report." That's you know, right. So my family's crazy. So
I've got 3 titles.
So there you go. I think we've got.
But Kimberly, your family is crazy, but they're not unique.
Okay, well, here, Fred, try this first title. Win and see how it sounds with you. This is for that top 10%, the high-end win that you were talking about. American Money or American Cash? Which one? So it would be American Money with Fred Hicks.
I think.
Okay.
I don't want to do Fred Hicks. I want to do with Fred Labs.
What do you think, Fred?
I like Fred Labs because
with Fred
I like also your title, American Money.
Okay,
because what I'm thinking is it would be American Money, and then
you don't like it. Oh, you don't like it, Kim?
So I don't want to stereotype us. I want us to be global, because I think anything you teach somebody on how to reconcile books, how to think smart and financially fit is a global message, not a U.S.
3 titles, Kim.
Okay, 3. Go for it, Bill. Go.
So that was one title. The other, I know, because you and I are fighters. Okay, that's why I got.
Go for it.
And this is the pitch. So the second one, that second demographic or show that you were talking about, you win, Corporate Cash with Fred Labs. Okay, and then the third one, dealing with that demographic, would be Nick's title, Color of Money with Fred Labs.
And I have 3 people for you to invite. Number one.
On which
Number
show?
one, Kenneth Frazier, who's the CEO of Merck,
Yeah,
Robert Ferguson, the CEO of TIAA, and Marvin Ellison, the CEO of Lowe's. Believe it or not, I
Fred,
found them.
Fred is sweating right now. Fred is sweating.
The other two.
What? You know all of them?
I didn't know about Lowe's, but I do have heard of the other two.
Oh, really? Yeah. But the thing is, we got to contact them and get them on the show.
You got to start writing the names down.
You get to interview them, not me.
Okay, but listen, we're on the titles right now. When
Okay.
think of that, American Money, Corporate Cash, Color of Money.
Okay.
No,
One thing, the art of using the labs part is when you roll out the educational program, because you got the lab to do the work.
Right. That's why I want you to incorporate Fred Labs. You got the name.
But you don't have to always use it. You can go by. It's like Dave Ramsey. He's not a Dave Ramsey lab. It's Dave Ramsey's program. You don't always have to use it, but that's just my opinion.
Fred Labs program.
Well,
Dave Ramsey Labs. So yeah, Fred Hendricks has a Fred Labs financial go-to client meeting. Okay, Nick had to go to a client meeting.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Some of what you're talking about is suitcasing your class in to do, so we're not just a TV show, we're an actual workshop. Am I correct? Is that what we're building here?
Well, I think, okay, well, let me try this. I'm sorry, and then I'm going to listen to you, Fred. And I got to tell, I told you, if you came on Economics Monday, this is how this
I like this. It's because the idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Right now. Okay, well, right now, I mean, unless you're ready to fight. Kim, think of it this way.
Here.
Okay. Gotcha. That American money is the equivalent of American politics. That's the high-end stuff. That's when he brings people in. So that wouldn't necessarily be labs. Because what he's doing there is he's bringing in the top guns and he's talking to them about how they're looking at it. So that's like a big-time 50,000-foot level. And that's real one-on-one kind of serious money talk and big money stuff. And
that's the Money Masters show. Go ahead.
Yeah, except with Fred.
Right. But I get it. That's the Money Master. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that same concept. So that would be like American Money with Fred Hicks. Okay. And then maybe corporate cash, whatever Fred, you end up deciding it doesn't have to be corporate cash, but whatever that middle title is. Because it could be global money. You could have American money and global money because I think Kimberly's right.
You just stole the word because I was going to say global money instead of American money. But I want to hear what everyone else said.
Okay. So
keep going, Bill. Keep going. I like this.
Right. So then we'll change the top show to global money. Okay. With Fred Hicks. Okay. Then the middle one that we tentatively the working thing is corporate cash. Now, I'm not really wedded to corporate cash, but I think it kind of has I think it has a sex appeal once the program is up and running, because that's going to be more the fast pace, the people that are doing stuff. Like when you're talking to people that have not made it, that have not retired or whatever, but they're in the middle of the the game in the corporate world. So they're the the next round, the up and comers and things. And then like the color of money could be a color of money with Fred Labs. And that would be more the interactive stuff that would be targeted to a particular demographic or underserved people.
Well, that's the education.
Yeah. So what do you think, Fred?
I like the color of money because of the education base, and I think it's something to say about separating the education from concepts.
Uh-huh.
I think the mainstream show should be conceptual because then it allows people to want to hear the educational component of the labs. So you've got to hook them. You got to have a hook. So if they got to hear something they like, and people will then come to the labs. Other than that, if they come to the labs, they're going to feel overwhelmed, and you're getting away from that small bites concepts.
Right.
It has to be something that hooks them quickly, that they want to take the next step to learn more about it. And then it goes back to the KLT factor, right? People want to work with people they know, like, and trust. And if we produce it right, they're going to want, from the conceptual viewpoint, to visit the labs. And then we can have people on the lab show that are tax savvy or estate planning savvy that can expand upon that conversation so that people that are in that particular format are there because they want to know about it, not talking to the mainstream. But conceptually, it's like what I hate he's gone. What Nick said is to bring on different people that are relatable and that already have a following. Now you kind of have an entourage approach, and now more people are going to engage because, oh wow, did you hear XYZ, or this person is talking on the show? Yeah, that's of interest. And if they're doing it, I want to do it too. Then that moves them straight into the lab function. And tell me if I'm wrong, guys, but that is, I think it's a great approach. So feedback on that?
I think that it's building blocks, just like when you're teaching financial literacy, or if you're teaching science, the elements, there's building blocks. And I think that's what we've started. And I think this is the first 3 building blocks. And I think that you have to, what Nick and I learned, you have to inspire first, like you said, give somebody they can relate to. Like Bill said, give them something to listen to, something they want to listen to. Like I do like the name American Money, or the American Dollar or something. I like that because we are building like American politics, but we are global TV. So taking it to that next level, American, global, maybe let some other people come and join you that is from other currencies, right? So we have that global talk, and then breaking it down again to, we've got courses that we not only teach here, but we can suitcase them into the corporate world and teach people at a different level. So it's a lot though, of finding that right sponsor. Like you've already got that relationship. Doing the relationship for sponsorships, especially for minorities right now, is big because it's the minorities that are suffering the most. This is the conversation we were having this week with the tax policy. That a lot of people think, you get a big mouth up there and he goes, I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for you. Read the damn policy. People don't read the policies. They don't know. He didn't do this for you. Okay. That's not what the policy says. I know, because I got every one of them now. So we got to teach the people to be aware. And I think that's what your classes, your sessions should start, is making them think. Like I ask people, what are you willing to do for world peace? Let me think about that, right? What are you willing to do for $1 million, right?
Kim, I like that, because that just got what are you willing to do for $1 million? Because you know what? That is up close, it's personal, and it gets my attention. I'm like, well, what would I be willing to do for $1 million?
It's planting a seed. It plants a seed, right?
You gotta ask, but you want them. You want them.
Right.
You want them to, so you want them to think first, right? You don't want that. You want them to start coming out with the answers, and it doesn't need to be a yes or no. Do you want to be a millionaire? Well, heck yeah, everybody wants. But what are you willing to do for it? And what if I told you didn't really have to work too hard to do it? You just have to think like a millionaire.
I like that too. Right.
You just have to think. Okay. And I'm going to teach you how to think like that.
Yeah. And Fred,
I like that because it leads with a question and it makes you go,
That's right.
Yeah.
So let me chime in from a marketing and branding background. So here you got a lot of concepts thrown at you. The idea here is the big show brands you as the go-to guy that get access to all the big dogs. Yeah. So automatically you then become the David Ramsey, except you're the Frederick Hicks.
That's
so
right.
Frederick Hicks becomes a household name. And so whenever Frederick Hicks goes in, the program that follows up for the corporate program, that automatically becomes the go-to information, because Frederick Hicks going to talk. Well, where is he talking? What's he coming up with? Where's his information? Then that feeds down to that part. Now, I have a different opinion for the minority, because my opinion for the minority outreach is that everybody's doing it. But nobody is, not all of them are connected. They're doing it for the same purpose, but all in different areas. So they're like this. It's the same concept for a lot of social stuff. Is everybody goes for the same thing, and it gets confusing because of course there is no David Ramsey of financial field, and there's no one of color. So there's no one that really sits there and manages and controls everything just because they're there. So I'm in the opinion that you have to plan better for the minority approach, but at least for the first two, the marketing and the branding is fairly straightforward, provided that you already have this messages that we're building in there.
So I want to add too, some of the people that Nick and I had on Money Masters PBS, I've actually encouraged a lot of minority people to watch them, even the majority, all of them are white, rich men, okay? But this is what I tell people. They're the ones who did it. And if you want to aspire, sometimes, and if I want to win a lawsuit, sometimes I go talk to an attorney that fights the other side, right?
Right.
Sometimes you got to look at what they do. But I will tell you this, every one of the minorities that I asked to watch those shows, they all come back with David M. Walker. Every one of them loved the message David M. Walker gave. And, you know, he is the former U.S. Comptroller General of the United States for 4 presidents. He's been on our show more than once. He's been on American Politics. But he talks about your fiduciary duty. And it hit home. It hit home to my minority friends who were struggling financially. You know what? It is my fiduciary. These are things I have to do. But he hit home to them. And I thought, wow, this white guy nailed it. And he nailed it good. And then I tell him, well, if you liked our interview, read his book. Oh my God, his book is just as good and inspiring. But it takes a lot to do all of this. So what we need to do is get him to speak. But what I found interesting was they really loved hearing, it's not about me taking care of it for you. It's about you have to step up to the plate. And I liked getting that feedback because that one told me which shows were getting that message in, which shows people liked. Everybody loved David K. Johnston just because he's smart. But the message hit home with David M. Walker. So I just wanted to let you know that if you wanted to bring somebody in, I mean, who's better for money than the guy who controlled all the money in the United States anyway, right?
Agreed.
So, and I'm sure he would do it, especially when he hears about what we're doing here. One of the things he said in our interview, Nick always does a goofy question. And I think in this particular one, he asked, you know, should we be teaching our kids financial literacy in college, right? Like why, you know, or high school? And David stumped all of us. He goes, absolutely not. We need to be teaching them in elementary.
From the womb.
Right. But here's the thing. Boy, did he get our attention. What do you mean? We thought that's why we were having the show, David. Why you flew in? No, we need to be teaching it in elementary. We're not doing it.
And he took a step. He took a more proactive approach.
Well, and he nailed it in a funny way, right?
Because when you're young, and then you know you are kind of still up on the front end. You need to step one more step back. Okay.
And, you know, and where does our duties belong? Now, also to let you know, there are all kinds of programs out there. When Nick and I started the TV show, there were grants that were coming out to close the gap between financial literacy and poverty. But it's very hard to get to those grants because people with money or contacts or old money already had kind of a foot in the door. But there are contacts that Nick and I made at the Federal Reserve. There are banks, credit cards, and stuff like that. The Federal Reserve holds a financial literacy week every year. We are in time because we started in October when we went to the last one. Okay, so we're just in line to go, hey, we want to be part of it next year. But they do all kinds of scholarships and things like that. But in there, if you're teaching financial literacy, they're going to promote you. They're going to push your name out there, and they might help get you money because the credit card companies pay big money to do this. John Scully has an app that he was trying to push out there in a business for that. I don't know if you know who John Scully is, but the former CEO of Apple. So I know his wife, but they do things like this. They're big in financial literacy. So these are things. Now it's hard to get him on a TV show, but I will say that there are people out there. Once you show them that sample, that what you're doing, they'll come on board. Okay.
Yeah. Once you show them my workbook template,
that they're going to want to see the sample. Your first TV show is what they're going to want to see. And that's the one that's going to have to just kick it. Like, this is what I'm teaching. I got your attention. Sit down and do this. And like Bill gets excited. What are you going to do for $1 million? What would you do for $1 million? And we could even make that, maybe get some sponsors in where we give people incentive with money or with some sort of stock investment, or, you know, but we can do that. We can get people who want to be engaged and are willing to take your course, and they walk out with a little nest egg somewhere. I mean, there are some things we can do, but what if we teach you how to build your own nest egg, even though you're struggling? Wow, that's a winning win, isn't it?
yes.
Mhm.
Right? So you can sit there and go, you know what? I know you only make $60,000 a year. I know this. I know that your debt going out, taking care of your family, your health, and everything else is exceeding $60,000 a year. But what if I can show you how you can take and put aside $5,000 a year without major adjustments? Because you and I both know that when you go through some books of people and help them readjust their books, you can probably pull together at least a 5% or something, right, back into the. But what if I could show you
Small beginnings.
Right. But what if I could show you just in 1 year? Because I did this with a guy one time who kept putting me down because he said I was a rich, and that everything, and it wasn't. It was that I worked hard, saved hard, and put aside money, right? So I said, I bet you I can show you one little simple change in your life, and you can take you and your wife and 5 kids to Disney every year. One simple change. And I did it. And he did that year. And you know what it was?
Not drinking coffee?
No, I convinced him to quit smoking.
Oh.
Oh,
The amount of money he spent on a packet, you know, the cigarettes every week,
yeah.
the amount of money, but he didn't know this because he was like putting me down. Oh, you got this and you. I wouldn't have that but I told him, I said, I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I might drink some alcohol, but I don't. 2 things my money don't go into. That's it.
Mhm.
And he changed his lifestyle right then and there. And that year he had about $3,000 to $5,000 extra in his pocket to take his family to Disney.
Well, that's why those types of stories are the stories you want to bring on the show, because people can wrap their arms around that. They can see themselves in that person. If you can see yourself in the mirror image of someone else, then it can be done.
Exactly. Just like they're going to see you.
You win
They're
heart.
gonna see you.
You win
Right.
heart.
So
Yeah.
they're going to see you. But again, that was to me an easy fix, right? It's just change one habit. But being able to look at everyone and say, overall, I can take your current living situation and we can teach you how to take X amount % and put it over here and start saving, investing, growing. And that's what people want. It's going to sound like a footprint template. Not everybody's that perfect. But if you can do that, people are going to be more apt to come in. I'm going to be able to say, hey, Joyce, instead of drinking wine tonight, let's go over here and watch this show because I want to learn how to buy extra shoes next week. Right?
A great way to even draw that audience in is by affiliation marketing with the corporations that have like what Mark just said a second ago, the herd mentality. You know, it just flows down. Okay, if we start it right, you know, like they always say, water can split a rock, right? If you drip on it long enough, it'll split the rock. So I think a great place to go is where people congregate, which is 80% of their life is spent at work. So a lot of that can just go viral by specific targeting with the right companies. Okay,
So-
and that, go ahead.
No, what I was curious though is that what you're talking about is when you suitcase this into companies where you're reaching your students who will hopefully, maybe during lunchtime they come in. That's a lot of work and a lot of effort. So we got to figure out how to make that happen. That takes a huge lab of people. It takes a complete executable amount of educational people who know how to teach. And I've been there. I used to teach the teachers at my companies, right? This is what you're going to go out and teach. So that's a lot because Fred can't do it by himself, right? Fred is doing it right now. Fred lines up the deal. Fred goes teach.
Yeah.
But it's
overwhelming.
Right. Fred can't go and do that. So Fred's got to learn how are we going to sell it? You're going to have to hire the people to do it. And is that going to cost you more money than what they're willing to pay? Or do incorporate it a different way? So I get what you're talking about. Take it to the people where they're at. But I like Bill's idea. If we build it, they will come and you will become the next Sunday morning big show that everybody wants to watch. And to me, that's where your money comes in. And Fred's not going out. Fred's not going.
With you, I like it coming rather as a trickle than a fire hydrant.
So let me explain
Okay.
to you this. I owned a telephone company for years, and nobody could understand why I would want to own a phone company. It's not that hard, but the residual money, right? It was little trickles of money, but the higher volume you get, right, and it's residual, perpetual and residual, that adds up every month. When I show my business model for selling a software license, I can make $2 billion in 2 years. Okay. Just by little bit, $5 a day, $5 a day, and you get a couple million people buying. So that's what you have to look at is where's your and how do you not work as hard? Now, what we have to do is instead of suitcasing this into them, we get them to sponsor you so that their people are watching you. But maybe you host every Thursday afternoon a lunch for them. Just like I did with John Grisham, right? John Grisham hosted a lunch the other day. Oh, hell yeah, I'm going to go sit on a Zoom.
Yeah.
I might not get to go have lunch with him in person, but you're offering me to sit on Zoom with and have lunch with him? Ah, yeah. So, now Fred is going to have lunch for Lenovo. So it's just like you coming in as a guest speaker, but we can't do that right now. So now your Lenovo sponsors you on Sunday, but on Thursday you're going to go visit Lenovo for a private session. Okay. So that's where this becomes more of your suitcase deal, that you're not going out and working your tail end off all the time. Bring brown bag. Let's sit down. Let's do a Zoom class. Ask me questions. I'm yours for an hour. And let people, you give maybe the first 30 minutes. Then you sit down and you take questions and answers, because that's where people learn, right? Yeah. But that's when you become personal to your sponsor, right? That's your obligation to your sponsor is, like we do with Google, right? We want you to go speak to the minorities, okay? Yeah. We want you, so now this is your obligation to your sponsor. I'm going to come in and speak to your employees directly. So I think this is perfect. I like American Money. I like that. I actually already got a vision of what it looks like.
Yeah, Yeah.
I do.
No, Kim, can't you see it? I mean, I can see it all. I mean, I'm mindful that Fred, I'm mindful of the global aspect, but you can see it. American Money, because you know what that does to the rest of the world? Because they think America, world's largest economy, all this other stuff, they're going to tune in because they want to know what's going on in America. So, yeah. But look, I frankly, I can tell you this, that I think Nguyen is right. I think that the titles here are just kind of fungible. I just wanted to kind of put a label to the three areas.
Let's get the wheel going.
Yeah, Nguyen is right because we're really talking different conversations with each program. But also, and I always say this to people when I ghostwrite things for them, it's that I can write the stuff, okay? And like when I do legal briefs or I write articles or whatever it is, and I hand it to somebody else, I say to them, hey, listen, this is good, and I know and everything else, but you've got to read it. You've got to be able to make it your own, because it's only going to be authentic if it's your own. We can come in and do all this other stuff, but if we come in and put lipstick on and shades and dress you up in suits, all that other stuff, not going to be authentic unless you own it. So
That's
whatever
right.
you're doing here, you got to own it, because it's that process that once you own it, you've married it, you've made it yours.
Yeah.
That's to be authentic.
Then it comes across, yeah, it's authentic. I can tell you honestly, right there, I agree wholeheartedly with you, and that's something that I will bring to the table day one, because I can't fake it till you make it. I hate that statement.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you and I agree on that one.
I hate
You cannot fake it, but you also have to look like you own it. Some people can talk but cannot look like it. So that's what the visual part looks.
Mm-hmm.
So your first image is going to be very, very important. And I can tell you already take care of that. In fact, one of the things I hope you do is teach me how you make that backboard. Because I know you did that real quick, and I would like to do.
I do it with everybody. I mean, I'll create affiliation marketing right there in that background. It's nothing but green screen.
I know I got a green screen, so I just.
And because I'm a graphics artist, I just do this stuff.
So maybe you can make one with IBM TV for me, but
Actually, you spoiled my surprise, so thank you.
Oh, okay, I spoiled your surprise. So I do have a green screen. I also have a video screen that I can flash these things on. But let's talk about the important part, your sponsors. What do you need? So I kind of have a feel for going out and we can get some other sponsors once we get the wheel going. But you've already got one that you could potentially line up, and that's Cisco. We've talked about some ideas of how you could do this and minimize your work. What do you know Cisco? You know the people you're working with. What do you need moving forward right now to be able to close a sponsorship deal with them, that they would sponsor this show for you and maybe a suitcase lunch every Thursday, other Thursday, something like that?
I mean, you tell me if I'm wrong, but shouldn't we start with a media kit of the idea? So
exactly. It's going to have to be. So we're still working on IBM TV's media kit.
Okay.
But I think a one pager of your idea rather than a full media kit.
Okay.
A one pager. We'll get you a little bit a pager about IBM TV, because you'll be But I think if you do a one pager and a sizzle reel.
Okay.
So a one pager and one video for them to watch. And let me tell you, at first everybody goes sizzle reel, which would be a 3-minute. I'm thinking the full video, and let me explain why. One day I made an accident. Okay, I'm always full of accidents. I had my invention and I did a video of the invention. Now I was told to bring the 3-minute clip into SAS to show to the executives, but I screwed up and accidentally brought the wrong one. So I hit play and I thought, oh crap, it's the big one. It's not the short one. But here's what happened. It was like an hour long of domestic violence. Okay. So it's very devastating. And I'm sitting here and I go, well, I'm just going to play this for a little bit. I brought the wrong one and I'll cut it at a certain point. They wouldn't let me cut it.
Okay.
These executives sat in that meeting for an hour and watched the whole video. Devastated. That, oh my God, this is so. I know for a fact if you turn the button on and they're going to watch the class that they want to sponsor, they're going to want to see the whole class.
Okay.
So I would do your very first one, and I think let that be your nail. Let that be what closes.
Let that be the hook.
Right. Let that be what, not just hook that. Let that be the closer. Let that definitely right.
That's the nail.
That's the nail. Or the club. But and seriously, the
Wrecking ball.
the whacking ball, yeah. But the reason why I say this is I was dumbfounded that they sat and watched a whole hour of domestic violence topic, that they wouldn't let me stop the video. So
We touched them emotionally.
well, because when they're in to be invested, I found out that they really want to see that. Even though everybody goes, "Oh, just send me the pitch deck," they really want to know the whole story. So I think if we do, we'll get you a one pager about IBM TV. Then you do a one pager about your show and why it's so important, because we're going to raise the bar, use the word raise the bar and close the gap between poverty and sustainability. And the reason why I'm saying that is Republicans are so against lowering that bar, right? Closing a gap makes them think that they're lowering. So we want the message to go to the world that we are here to raise bars, not lower bars. Okay. And then definitely hit home, that we're about teaching the people who missed out on the opportunity to learn.
Okay.
Right. That we're reaching the people that are working and struggling day to day to work, to send their kids to college and things like that. And we want to show them how to take their existing situation and turn it into where they can start saving money for their future. So that's the message you want to give. Bill could probably word it 10 times better, or when. They are so much more than marketing person, but as the visionary.
Fred has a nice copywriter.
Okay, so but
We do.
so what I'm saying is this is the message to these dogs that eat dogs, the big dogs, right? The big dogs on the big porch. This is the message you want to get to Lenovo, Cisco, that we are here to build sustainability, because that's a big word. As a big word right now. Quality of life. Okay, that's another one with Cisco, SAS, and Lenovo. The words quality of life. We are developing solutions that establish quality of life in our community. All right. And I think if we form this right, we can take this to Lenovo. Not just your, but we can take it to Lenovo, and we can take it to SAS, and we can take it to all
It's
of them.
a replicatable model. It
You
can,
can take it to every Fortune 5,000 company.
and
Fortune 1,000.
We could take it to the few billionaires that Nick knows, and financial companies that would want. But again, the message has to be very concise, that we're wanting to raise that bar to close that gap. And now we're at reset button. Now is the most important time we can do this, because people are going to be starting jobs all over. They're not going to know how to start a job all over, pay back bills that they owe and back pay, and how to move forward, and how to control the tax debt that they're going to have. And you know what? I'm serious. I have family members, I can count on more than one hand, that could not pay their taxes for years.
yeah.
Okay. So
Don't we all know individuals? That's why I said that the circumstances are not unique. It's very common.
this is going to be a big problem in the next year or two because of what happened. Because it's just like I explained to someone today. We're not going to be able to meet on the subject for a month because we have to catch up on some things, and it takes a while to catch up, right? So I'm not going to commit anything new until I get caught up, and it's going to take me a month. Well, people don't understand. It's going to take us a year or two to catch up. People are going to be slipping backwards instead of slipping forward. Your class is going to teach them how not to slip back.
Yeah.
Your class is going to teach them how to climb that wall with the spikes, and we're not going to slip back. We're going to have the security rope, right? We're going to have that security latch, climbing that wall to success. And we're going to do it together as a team. And so that's the image you want to give. I've been preaching this actually, so you can tell I'm into it. So if we do that,
Elevate.
we need to think about now a budget. All right. So now this is where, what is it going to, so this is what I said, what is it going to cost you to do a labs, to go out, if you ordered a suitcase, you know, because you need 20 Freds and you need suitcase developers, right? I know this because I know the budget. I already know the budget of what it costs to build something like this, but I want you to put together what it's going to cost you. But when we had to build for telecom and we had to go train people, right, we had to hire the trainers. We had to hire the book writers, right? We had to write the text, the people who tested before we taught it, right? So you learn it, right? You do it, and you teach it. Those are the three things that you have to do: learn, do, and teach. And and that's why you're a labs now. So, and you're producing these things. So it would easily cost us $1 million to build a course to teach our clients and go out and teach it, to execute it. It cost us easily $1 million for each course. When you add up the man hours to write the book, the educated doctors that write the book, like Wynn, and put the credibility behind it, the certifications that go behind them, it's easily $1 million for man hours and execution. So, and that's just one class. That's just one. All right. And people think I'm crazy. Oh, I can write this. I can do that. No, you need the credibility. You need the marketing. You need the people behind it. Not just Fred. You need 20 Freds. All right. So that's what I want next, is for you to put together a budget, because now we need to ask for sponsorships. We need to know what to ask for, and we're going to tell them what it's going to pay for. It's going to pay for a team of people, right? It's not just Fred. So and then what do they get valued out of it, right? So if we're reaching, if my tax guy is right, it's not my tax guy, by the way, he's a very famous tax guy. If he's right and there's 40 million people out there struggling that would probably watch this, there's your return on investment right there, right?
Yeah.
There's your return on investment. And that's not my number. So, that's kind of what you want to put in your marketing plan to them, right? Your media kit is that right now there are over 40 million US Americans today. That's not counting post-COVID. All right. Pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, there were over 40 million Americans in such financial tax debt and debt, they went into tax debt. And those are the people who would watch this show.
Well, I'm going to be clear. This is new for me, and I may need some coaching.
Oh, well, that's what we're here for, right, Wynn?
Okay.
And Bill? High
Yeah.
five. High five.
So since Kimberly laid that out, it's a bigger mountain than you thought it was, obviously. But now the core boils down to your reputation here. If I'm just thinking here, I'm not saying it needs to be done ASAP, but let's say that you already interviewed at least 2 of those, any type of high level. Let's say you interviewed 2 of the CEO of Lowe's and the thing that Nick mentioned. You can pull that into your belt, and then when you go into this conversation, this is how my show started. I interviewed this X, Y, and Z that Nick gave us. Then that's your lead into the thing that Kim just gave you.
And I think it does need to be something like that to grasp their attention.
Right. I mean, there's just so much you can do. I keep falling back on the Federal Reserve and what they do. And I think that if we get this built right, we could definitely get the Federal Reserve to back us a little bit because of what they do. You just have no idea. You know, people think they're there to just burn our money and print money. And they have a huge program of their fiduciary duty to our society, right? And what they do. I learned so much doing those TV interviews. I thought I knew everything about the Federal Reserve, and I realized I really didn't know them. I
think that the next step is to actually digest on something, because the more we talk, the more you're going to have too much stuff.
Right. And I think what we do is we have some action items. One is get the media kit done for the proposal of the sponsorship. Two, to get a budget together of how much you think this is going to cost you, so that we know what to ask for and what the return on investment is going to be for them. And three, if you could figure out how to film your first class. I think those three things. What do you think, Gwen?
I think that's great. I think we want to, at least in my opinion, I would want to see him with one of those bigger American Money interviews, so that the class will be greatly supported by just like a out of the park. And then you go out of the park. It's like, by the way, this is what I do for the regular folks in your company.
Yeah.
So,
but it doesn't have to be aired. It was recorded.
No, it's just
It doesn't have to be aired.
Yeah, we don't want to air any of this right now, right? We want the sponsors to air it, right? So, I am game on the big interview, but I still think we need a class. I think they need to see what his.
No, I agree with the class. There still has to be at least one show, a show and tell.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you have the full version and the short version in case they don't want to hear the whole thing.
Right.
So are we saying a lab and an interview?
Yeah, we need a big fish, and then we need to teach them how to fish. So we need the big fish interview, and then we need the class showing them that you're teaching other people how to fish.
So American Money or American Money, and then one of Fred Lab's courses. And I think
that should forget. When we get to that fourth thing, the educational thing, I think that's the title. Fred's Lab.
Well, no, I think I like Color of Money for one, because we're kind of doing that, getting rid of the prejudice side effects of everything, and the money can be for any color. And I just want to share a video with you that I'm really proud of that we did for Federal. It's short. It's not the hour one, I promise. But I want to share just a little bit about what our mission was with the Federal Reserve and what we gained out of it. And I think you'll get the idea. Here we go.
So I say good morning and you say, oh, come on. I say good morning and you say, good morning. Very good. Thank you. I needed that. Well, I'm delighted to be here today to welcome you to the 11th Annual Financial Literacy Summit sponsored by Visa and the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. The 2017 program will focus on bridging gaps and overcoming barriers to universal financial education. Thank you, Nat, for bringing us back up here. We do this Money Smart Week program every year, and one of the most fun parts of the program is our Money Smart Kid Essay Contest. We have two wonderful kids up here today that are winners of that contest. Each year we pose a question where we ask important concepts in financial education, and we invite middle school students in the Chicagoland area to submit answers in the form of 300-word essays. The winners, because we have some terrific sponsors, are awarded scholarship money and prizes. Some actually very cool prizes. The runners-up all get some really cool laptops, and then the finalists and the winner get college scholarship monies, as much as $3,000. And what we find happens is not only is this a great way to engage them in this conversation, but then they become ambassadors for our financial education programs.
And so I put in my essay that the connection between them is that, like the similarity between them is that when you're being financially healthy, you're putting money into your bank to be financially healthy, and you're investing and you're doing everything to make your financial self healthy. And then for your physical, you're exercising, you're putting good food into your body to make your physical self healthy.
So feeding your body, feeding the bank,
Yes.
Greens, right? Pretty much makes you healthy, right?
Yes.
Green in the bank and green in the
your
body. Very
I
good.
really learned a lot. Like I never knew what stocks were, what investing was. I learned methods to save my money properly, and I learned a lot.
And can you tell me what the Money Savvy Pig says for us?
Save, spend, donate, and invest.
Well, my teacher, Mr. Sanchez, runs a finance program at my school, and he helps teach 6th through 8th finance.
We've got this pig. We were talking about this. Can you read these to me?
Save, spend, donate, and invest.
And those are what the 4 key factors to success with finance. Now, this isn't part of the regular school curriculum, right?
They could apply for schools. They could have, weekly classes that teach the kids on what it is to be financially healthy, what it is to be physically healthy, and what are possible ways to do so. Because not all kids know how to or know what it is at all.
What's the first thing you want to do with this check?
Well, I want to put it into the bank.
Hey, can you read these words for me?
Save, spend, donate, invest.
And those are the things that you talked about. You're wanting to invest it for a college scholar, your own college fund maybe, and you want to spend a little bit and you want to save, right? And we always try to remember to donate because that's where these kind of funds come from, are people who donate, right?
So we start with the basics and the fundamentals, and then we get more technical as they get into their 8th grade year.
All right. So I just wanted to share that's the element of the programs that they have out there to inspire people to learn. But one of the things, like Jada, I've stayed in touch with her mom. She's pretty big in some of the financial institutes, and she would get into helping people find donations to this. One of the things I was trying to do was not just with the parents and the adults that were part of these programs. I wanted to start a kids group as well, right? So what is wrong with once you start teaching the people that you're teaching at their level, you have a parent and child session, right? So, and by the way, those computers that they were using, those were Lenovo computers that were donated. So,
All right, there you go.
but what I'm thinking is that as you evolve this, because it is directed towards more of the adults, but tell Lenovo or tell Cisco, oh, and by the way, when I do this, I also want to make sure that if they have children, we'll have a session where the parents bring the children and we do a chat with the kids too.
Okay, so.
And that's just another building block. But and again, we don't want to get it too much. But what I wanted to do was show you how. Did you see the Vice President of the Federal Reserve talking about what he was talking about, closing that gap using financial literacy tools? I wanted you to see the whole element and what these people were learning out of it, and the take home, right?
The takeaway. Yeah,
right.
The takeaway.
And to hear the one girl talk about, I never knew about investing. And the difference between savings and investing, I didn't. Wow, she learned about investing, right? So
the good news is that part is already built.
Yeah,
that part is already built. I mean, the good news is on that. Now, as in regards to the media kit and the budget, naturally you can create any budget or performer that you want, but there's things that, again, I might want a little bit of coaching because there's line items that might be missing that you might bring a unique perspective to. Would love to pick your brain on that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what I would do is I would build my budget around the fact that you need a team of people, right? You're going to need it because literacy and teaching isn't just, it would be great to be one person. We have a team of people to get the show on, but if you're going to be doing all of this and on a grander scale, so if we're looking for sponsors, so I would put in there, that you were going to be hiring a team of people to help build the courses, to make sure that they're executable courses, right? Some background credibility, still of a house of approval, and that we're going to be collaborating. We're going to reach out. We need the funds to reach out to collaborate with programs like the Federal Reserve host. MasterCard does the same thing. They hold these kind of programs as well. So you need all of this to build in marketing, which Wynn could probably give you an idea of what some of the marketing costs would be. But then you would say, okay, we're going to do this. We want you to sponsor us for, and I'm just going to tell you, like, Lenovo has probably a $54 million budget for advertising. Okay. So maybe that you might say, you know what, for $1 million a year, Lenovo will be splashed on every one of the educational programs we do, right? And we're reaching out to 40 million viewers that need this, right? And so we're going to use that money to make sure that the word gets out to these people who need this. And we're going to suitcase in once a month just for you, a session for your people, right? So so you could tell them, for $1 million a year out of their budget, which, what? They advertise at the Super Bowl. What do they get from that? How many people actually buy a Lenovo laptop because they saw it at the Super Bowl?
It's just branding.
Right. But my thing is that you're teaching somebody how to do their finances on the Lenovo computer, right? You're using a tool that you're bringing in that's on a Lenovo computer. So odds are I'm going to ask you, what computer are you using before I go get the tool and buy it? Because I want to use the same computer my teacher's using. See?
Understood.
So Cisco, we can't go around going, oh, we're using Cisco routers to teach with.
No, you got to tie to their products. I mean, you got to show what products it works in the whole big picture. I mean, you can't just go there and
But when I'm teaching a computer science class at a university or even in a high school now, and I go to Cisco and I go, you know what, I can teach with your tool or I can teach with your competitor tool. Which one do you want me to teach? Right. And so Cisco's going to go, oh, here, teach with my tool.
Whatever you need. Tell me what you want.
Right. So again, I think you've got the client content. We've got the idea, the vision, pull together that. Wynn, is there something we can do to come up with a decent one-page marketing package of IBM TV between us? I know we've been working on the PowerPoint, which hasn't. It's just
we can always use Ken for that, couldn't we?
Yeah, that makes sense.
We can use what?
Ken.
Fred said Ken.
Okay.
Ken is a marketing / copywriter person I recommended to Fred the other week.
And I actually am hiring him a lot of already kind of behind the scenes things are kind of coming together because I mean Wynn and I are already working together, right? Wynn, I've already hired Wynn actually separately from IBM, so we're officially working on many different aspects that phasing everything in naturally. So this is something that could we add this to our discussions? Wynn, how do you feel about that?
In which regard?
In regard to
marketing.
In general, the marketing side is what we're working on is slightly different from what is going on right now here, but eventually we'll be able to leverage that part.
Well, yeah. I mean, let's assume that we're beyond the building block side of it, and we're looking at marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that he would be the ideal person to coordinate to build out that picture, to help organize everyone's thoughts and come up with the easiest way to peel an onion?
Yeah,
definitely. Okay. All right. So I got enough here in the 3 talking points I took away here and a bunch of notes here, 3 pages of notes. But
let me add one more thing. if you look at corporate sponsorship like this, the depends on where and which level it is. On a small level that you're looking at the HR side, a lot of the pitches range between the first 3 months of the year because they allocate the fundings ahead of time. If you're looking at the broader advertising for the company, that's on a different level because it's not the HR is warehouse much smaller, and they don't have as much of a bigger budget. But as what Tim said, if you're doing the thing where you're proposing for like $1 million to take over a portion of the advertising towards a certain area, that conversation is different and it is approached differently to a different head. Likely integrating between a VP of something and the marketing person in relation to that. So timelines are much different for that. And proposals for something like an HR thing can easily get you anywhere between 20 and 50K. Everything else, that's a longer conversation, but needs the right connection.
So the two things that we're looking at is the final quarter, right? So they've got budgets they haven't spent yet, and then they have new budgets they're building for the next year. So those are the focus on the sales that you're going to go after is if they have any leftover money, how much do they have that they could invest in? And in building next year's budget, what could you actually realistically achieve from their next year's budget? So, and then this is something I did for years working in corporate, is that's where you have to look at is the final quarter, because that's where what builds next year, and that's what uses up what they haven't spent. So this is the best time to be in knocking on that door. You couldn't have picked a better time. We just got to get that kit together, get it in their hands, and get them moved into to feeling the message. We just got to get that done.
So again, media kit, budget, the film, big interview, and the lab. Lab's pretty much done. And the name of the show that we can settle with right now, doesn't mean it can't change, is American Money. And the Color of Money is the lab. So the Color of Money with Frederick Hicks or whatever, Color Money Labs with Frederick, whatever. All right. And what I'll start doing is kind of putting some ideas around those two different formats. Fair enough?
Right. And just to, not that I'm homing in on titles, but I do like American Money with Frederick Hicks, just like we do American Politics with Bill Trezevant or Dr. Bill. So, and I do like, and I think Bill agrees with me on that. It just kind of flows. And then the Color of Money, brought to you by Fred Labs.
Okay, brought to you by Fred Labs.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, just like you see Financial Friday on my backdrop here, I'll start working on something that will create that branding. Okay.
And I don't know much, Fred. Do you have advanced degrees besides the BA?
No.
Okay.
I do not. Okay. I have other licensure.
What's your
in specific areas, such as the NSSA designations and stuff.
Okay, well then what we want to do, then we want to do is we want to put that after your name. So it'll be Fred Hicks and then comma and then whatever the letters are for your licenses.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, okay. I mean I do that a little bit now. I just don't get a whole lot into the alphabet soup these days.
Okay, well then fine. Then fine.
It depends how you use it.
Yeah, but you're right, because what we're trying to do is establish a sense of gravitas from the first time they see your name. So in my case, I stuck doctor in there because it's like, oh, it's not just Bill, it's doctor, okay? And that's the first thing they read from left to right. So in your case, they're going to see Fred Hicks, and then it's a comma, and then it's going to see the other stuff. It's the same thing that Nick does, because you'll see when Nick shows up, it's Nick Palavita, and then he's got his alphabet soup. MBA, JD, LLM. I'm really jealous of the LLM. And I'm going to get an LLM just so I can say Dr. Bill Trezevant, comma, JD, M, blah, 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 LLM. So,
I'm just him. And, I like the fact that Sharif calls me professor. I think that's sweet. But credibility, unfortunately, all of that, like I say, PhD is credibility. I don't knock it. I think that there's a lot behind it, but I never got it.
Yeah, I know.
But people, they see your success where you are anyway, but it does say a lot. Like, Dr. Fan, I give him a lot of respect because he got that degree. And
for Kim, it just says senior executive producer.
no, actually it says CEO. Usually I own it. So
Yeah, but it says right there. Right there.
What's funny is finally got out of school, got graduated, and I went back to school to learn how to speak Japanese so I can work with the Japanese. But I swore I would never go back to school because I just thought I'll just make money instead of worrying about making degrees, right? Mm-hmm. And so when I started owning a company and we needed continued education, we would go to these continued education like BTI would give it, right? And you have to get your certificate in order to do things. I would sign up to go because I wanted to go and learn, but I would sign up my engineers to go and they would have to take the test, all the certifications. But hey, I was paying for them to go. They were getting one hell of a deal, right? But they would get a little aggravated because she comes just to learn and hang out. We got to take the test. But hey, that's what it is when you're the CEO. That's why I tell them, hey, the CEO, you pay people to take the test for you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Kim, can you say the color of money one more time again? The tagline?
Color Money, brought to you by Fred Labs.
By Fred Labs. Thank you.
Brought to you by Fred Labs. And the reason you hear that everywhere you go, right? Brought to you by. Mm-hmm. So I think that's just going to be good branding. And Win might come up with something better because he's always better at this than I am. I'm just the one who throws the balls out there, right? So, yeah, Win is we're a good team. Bill is very good at pulling together the final touches and polishing everything. So and spinning out the idea. We're a good team. As you see, when Nick comes in, we're good family. So
yeah, I can see it.
We just need to make money on it. We need to get this.
I'm excited. I know about you guys. This is what I've been hoping for and wishing for. So, hope's not a strategy. So let's make it happen.
You've been reading my taglines, haven't you? Yeah. I say it all the time. That's my thing. Hope is not a strategy. That's I actually think that a long time ago came from one of our presidents a long time ago. I'm not quite sure, but I know it's in a movie as well. I think they stole it from me though.
Well, we use it all the time in the financial sector. Hope is not a strategy. So you can hope that your retirement is going to look great, but it's hard. You got to put the skin in the game.
So one of the things I want to get out there too is that there are a lot of people that I know personally that we missed that window, that there's a 10-year window in there that we missed where we were able to pay off our mortgages, right? And Bill, you probably know people who got to burn their mortgage statements and stuff. We kind of missed that. Somewhere the economy shifted on us. We should have been there. We should have been there. But I saw so many people lose their pensions.
Yeah.
Okay. Lose their retirement money. They put it, were invested in for years, lost their jobs that they invested money in getting a good education. Fortunately, those of us were in that window. Our college education was not as expensive as it is now, but we've lost a lot. We lost our ability to financially be able to maintain our medical care because it's way up here, but so is insurance. Okay. My insurance came to a screeching halt from my employer type insurance. It was costing $200 a month for two. It's $2,000 per person right now per month. $2,000 for the same freaking insurance. Actually, not the same. It doesn't cover the same shit. Excuse my language. So, you got to take a look at what is happening to the people because the insurance companies, the medical, all of these people, they're going to come in like vultures and take advantage of these people. And they're going to take advantage of the people in poverty who don't know. And that's what you're about. You're about changing that demographic and changing that playing field. Don't let hope be your tactic. If you know what's coming, you can change it. but we didn't know. We put faith and trust in people to take care of us.
Yeah. Well, can't somebody else do it, right?
But well, and I really wasn't saying that. Here's what I was saying. I'm going to work my butt off to make money and you take care of it for me. Right?
Yeah.
But fortunately for me, there was enough of do not trust in me that I didn't put it all into one person to do. So there is, I'm trying to tell people, I'm not going to starve. Okay. I'm not crying. I'm going to be able to get my medical care. I just have to work harder, and longer. But if I had done things a little bit differently, maybe it would have been different. But pension plan's gone. That should have never happened. People shouldn't have lost their homes over stuff like this.
It's part of the financial literacy discussion. Multiple income streams, understanding, what are your income streams and how not to put any over reliance on any one particular stream. So, so two things here. One, obviously we need to talk again. And when is that? And two, Bill's got the best wall.
Yeah, I know.
Bill's got the best wall.
I know. I'm down over being jealous.
That history lesson behind him. That's a lot of history, buddy.
I had to get over the green envy when I saw that. Trust me, Nick could see me. I was just like, now, here's what happened. I started the bookcase, right? And I had books lined up here. Now I decorate it, but I've got all kinds of books that, and we'll keep filling it. And I got bookcases. So when I did my bookcase, Nick goes, and so then he built his, right? And you can see how his is 10 times better than mine, right? So we do get backdrop envy around here.
Well, actually, here, let me just say this, because after I saw Nick's background, because I thought, okay, I'll go with books. Here, let me just show you. So I got like a bookcase corner wall, going on. But then I saw Nick's thing, and I was like, oh, no, because I was jealous. And I was like, I can't compete with that.
But the thing is find your personality and let it work. Like, I like to decorate my room a little bit.
Yeah.
I do like my books. But it's funny because Mark Lee did the same thing. When he saw me build a bookcase, he built a bookcase, right? So everybody, the bookcase seems to be the thing. But now I kind of took the books out and I make personality out of it. But
No, Kimberly, you have to fess up. And Frederick, from time to time, when she wants to send a message to Nick, she puts a certain book on her bookshelf. Go ahead, show it, Kimberly. It's a book. It's just for Nick.
She plugs it. Butter my butt and call me a biscuit.
Only in the South.
Which is a form of kiss my biscuit.
That's right. But you know what? My backdrop really signifies what you see on ESPN, and the way you just have a backdrop, and and it's subliminal, so to speak.
Yeah.
So that subliminal message that doesn't necessarily alienate someone who doesn't like to read. Just read just enough, and it's step and repeat, step and repeat, step and repeat.
I've got some green screen. I've got a green screen. I'll put one up tomorrow. But I would like to get more kind of like what you got. I just practically don't know how to pull that together, but I have pulled together some really cool, what looks like real TV sets. You can't tell the difference. Like I have people go, wow, oh my God, that's so cool. But it's hard to sit in a green screen. If, as you know, you got to have that green screen plastered almost to you. The lighting's got to be perfect. Yeah. You got to have the lighting's got to be perfect. No wind. You can't have that screen blowing. Yeah, it's a work of art.
Mm-hmm.
A discipline. But if you could get, Bill, you might want to do it just to change your game up down the road. Good green screen. But I want to tell you right now, what you have is.
Let me just simply show you how simple I keep it. I mean, all I do is I can just do this. And that's it. So it's nothing, but it just comes out, and I just roll it right up, and that's it. And it's 2 seconds done.
I got a pop-up one. It just kind of twists and pops.
Yeah,
throw it here.
real simple, and then that way it's just, you know.
I like the roll up kind better. If you
Yeah.
get the stand just right. And again, you got to make sure no wind's blowing on it, no sunlight's coming in from behind it.
Yeah.
I mean,
And the more
you
light
got-
you put on it, like I kind of built like a green screen studio here, so I've got the lighting, keeping
Yeah.
the green, the chroma key screen really flushing a lot of light. I use a Brio Logitech, the glass lens camera, so it looks nice and
Are you
clean.
using Logitech?
Yeah, Logitech Brio is what I use. And
Is that the one that zooms? Does that one zoom?
oh yeah, you can do all kind of things with it, and because it has the cropping feature to it, it takes you less than a minute to set it up. Just align the camera, and that's it. And that's it. I can, for example, I mean, it's so simple. If I go to, you know, I can move like this, and I'm just aligning it so that it's just perfect to the screen, not too far to the left, not too far to the right. And you can just make the adjustment without any headaches. So it kind of gives you like a professional studio without having to have one, right? And
Logitech.
then naturally you got your mic.
Wait, let me
No.
stop. No, show it to me again.
This is actually the best. Why is it not showing up? Oh, I'm going too far to right. Sorry about that, guys. There you go.
Yeah, there's I like those, and then Alexandra was showing me the new lapel mic that is kicking butt right now. You know how Alexandra has that big mic, right? Like she's got
Yeah,
that big
I
dynamic.
just like this because
I like
it's
that one.
omnidirectional. This one is really cost effective without all the bells and whistles. All it really needs, all you have is your gain and your mic on the back, and that's it. And if you want to suspend it, you can just use this, and it flips all the way around, and it's just really good. It sounds good. It picks up well.
How much was that one? That one's not a bad one.
That's why I went with it. Is that if you look at the reviews on it, is $69.
Okay, so that's dang good.
I'm going with the Yeti, the Blue Yeti, which is like $129, $100, and it's too many bells and whistles. You're not going to use half the tools that's on it. Does that make sense?
Unless you're a professional musician, you don't really, or you're just a diehard podcaster. You don't. I mean, I don't recommend investing that much money into the Yeti, but I do like that particular one. I like the ones that cut out the sound from a certain distance. I guess that's your gain. And then, yeah, I'm also looking at that lapel one that.
It's really tight, and I can send you. Here's the. If you want to go to Amazon, here it is. I'm gonna put the link right in the chat right here for you. That way you can just go and look. I mean, I look for what's functional, not looking what everyone else does. You know, I'm one of those people.
Yeah, I am. Well, I functional and cost right now. For me, it's got to fit my budget, which is not much right now. So, so that's.
Well, we're gonna fix that, right?
Yeah, well, that's why we're talking about monetization. But I've always been like that. I've
You
always
forgot
been very tight about it. Oh, yes, the Polycoms. Those are actually that's a good one.
Man, let me
Yeah,
see
you have
yours again.
they're one of the best ones. They'll serve everything you need to right now.
In fact, I think I might go get it and plug it in.
USB.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I'll go get mine and plug it in for tomorrow and see if it how.
Okay, so when are we going to talk to Fred again?
So yeah, Fred. I'll tell you what. Let's set up a weekly meeting. But
Yes,
the
please.
next one will not be this long, right?
Right.
We'll have our action items, and our goal is to have at least a one pager done of what you're doing, and what we're not going to email them back and forth. Next week we will review a one pager of your thing and a one pager of IBM TV and a start of a financial budget, just to start. And it doesn't have to be a kick, you know, just get some line items going of what you think is going to cost you to develop courses, have a team to execute. And I'll see, mine are too big. My spreadsheets are way too big. Like mine are full blown corporation budgets.
I mean, but Fred can think of getting what, a half FTE for certain things and a full FTE for certain things. So
Right. So just think about how many. I do it by man hour kind of thing, right? How many people do I need to develop XYZ? How often do they need to be with me? And I always do everything by man hours. So how much is it going to cost you? Are you going to send out tools, right? Are you going to send out books? They're going to cost, right? You got to build the booklet and things like that. Paper, bindings, yeah, pens. You probably want to send a pen so people don't have an excuse. So your book comes with a pen, like my book.
And whether or not you want to.
NC State gives me a book to take notes every time we have a meeting. I walk in, they give me one of these with a pen. I have no excuse, right?
Like advertising specialty kind of.
Right. But it's not just the swag, it's the no excuse. Here's your pen, here's your book, here's your paper. Take notes. This is your no excuse.
Do you have like a generic, just like a generic kind of one that's just already like a template already?
For what, IBM TV?
Yeah, well, just one so I can kind of, again, I used to write mortgage loan request packages for commercial properties with feasibility studies and all that stuff. I don't want to go too deep in the weeds. I want to keep it super simple, if that makes any sense. So do you have like a punch list that these are the things that typically you're going to find or you need to be mindful of? Sometimes, I mean, I might be thinking one way about the creation of what you're talking about versus some of the other moving parts that might be needed too. So I don't want to leave anything off my punch list, so to speak. So you have something that just gives like a snapshot, and then I can build upon that list based on these are typically the line items that you'll find. Just like
I can find. I've got some major ones. Just a second.
Okay. And that way I can kind of do that. And the one pager one, when I want to talk to Ken about this. I'm talking to him on Tuesday.
Ken?
Yeah, do you think that
Ken? Okay.
Do you think that might be a good idea to kind of, for the one pager part, for what I'm talking about, to kind of pose this to him and kind of put that together?
Yeah, I think because a lot of what you're going to be doing probably with him, I'm not speaking for what you're planning for him, but you can reuse a lot of his material across your different areas.
Yes, that's right. So I've not talked to him about this. I've talked to him about what you and I are working on, which is my money bank.
Right.
So I would want to bring that up to him because he actually has an interview style, talking to you like we're doing here, and you're just talking, and he's collecting information, and then he's compartmentalizing that information, and then figuring out how to say everything you just said in an hour in 2 minutes.
Right.
And I like that because when you're drinking your own juice, you talk too much. Okay.
Always.
Okay. So I really, what someone is better. If you're good at this, I want to stay in my lane. You've heard me say that before. So I think what I want to do is have a conversation with him. I may be able to reach him today. I don't know. And just start that conversation so that our next week's meeting, like what Kim's saying, is going to be more concise. We already have some moving parts because I believe what you guys are saying, the time is of the essence. And yes, several companies are formulating their budget for next year. And if you start talking to them in first quarter, it's too late.
Yeah, if we get there in December, it's too late. We need to get there. We need to get there between Halloween and Thanksgiving.
So is this recorded? When is this being recorded, right?
Yeah.
All right. Can you send me the link on this? And what I'm going to do is play it back because the brain can only take in 11% of what it hears the first time. And then it only gets greater and greater as you hear it. And then I'm going to talk to Kim on the high level points we discussed here today. and that will help move that conversation along. Make sense?
Okay.
All right. Kimberly, do you have anything else you want to incorporate?
I'm just going to try to send you a template.
Sounds good. Bill, I say again, love that back wall, brother.
Appreciate it, because listen, I just come
Back
in.
wall Andy.
Well, no, I come in at the last minute and I make sure that we button everything up, tighten everything up, making sure you're looking pretty. And if we need any last minute massages, and then we go from there. But you, my friend, wait until the day when I look at you and I wink and I say, you're kind of big in Malaysia.
Well, I'm looking forward to that day. I'm just glad that we thanks everybody for all the skin in the game that we all gave today, and we have given the entire time. You guys have built this, like you said, 4 years prior to my introduction. I really didn't understand the picture until last week, so I'm just excited for what this has the potential of being, and let's just move forward. At some point, Kimberly, when do we go to that other phase that you were talking to me about? When do we discuss that, or when do we look at? Because I'm sure that there's other things I need to agree to, right?
So like producer contracts
And all that stuff.
compensation packages. That's why Bill is here, is so that we can hear what we're doing and what we're building, so that we can individualize a contract.
That's what I was asking. So I want to go ahead and formulate that so we're all on the same page.
Absolutely.
If more than a memorandum of understanding, that way everyone feels free to explore conversations without any reluctance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you signed the NDA, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So is that sufficient for now?
Yeah, that covers all of us, because we're all bound to confidentiality. So this is
Okay,
it.
perfect.
And then what's
And
coming?
the spreadsheet I'm sharing with you is, I'm not going to go in and re-edit it because I just don't have time. It is confidential. Okay, it's very confidential. It is what I use for another work. So I just ask you, go in and make changes where you think you want to do. But I'm not going to go in and clean it up or change it.
That's fine. I just needed a roadmap. I just needed a roadmap.
But I just don't have time to go in and make all the changes. So you're just going to have to say this is confidential information that I'm changing. That's it.
And if I have any questions, I'll reach out.
All right. Thank you.
What's the best way to communicate with you, Kim?
Say,
Text, email.
When do you think we should build a Facebook link that we're all communicating with Fred on, or how do we do this? I wanted as we're all seen as communicating together. Like there's no, I want us all to be on the same page. So
can we do LinkedIn instead of Facebook?
I don't like. We all kind of been using Facebook groups.
No problem. I was just curious.
What do you think?
Yeah,
we can create a Facebook message group wherein you can, everything that's related to this, we'll label it as American Money, and then anything that we talk under American Money is American Money.
Okay.
And that way I know.
No funny business, no sharing of anything else. It's all business.
It's all business. And this way we're all on the same page. Like if we're having a meeting, we all know we're having a meeting. If you need information, we all know. And so I think this way we'll communicate tighter about things.
Yeah, and then plus you can also go back and reread the comments, because once this disappears, all that goes away.
Right. So this, so if you don't mind doing that, that's great. And we'll just do a meeting every week right after your show, if that works.
That's 2:00 is fine with me, and I'll go ahead and make it standing in my calendar.
Does that work for you, Bill? Does that work?
All right. 2:00 it is, guys. Thanks so much, guys. I'm gonna run here. I got 11:30.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
So take care. Bye.